Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of Persuading for Profits. I'm Brent Hoodenpyle, your host. This is the podcast that gives salespeople the strategies, the skills, the tools they need to go out and crush it in the sales world. And this week we have a very special guest on the show today from RadioUpdate.com, the radio station consultant himself, Mr. Andy Meadows. Andy, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Brent?
Doing very well, thank you very much. And we discussed this before because you were on another episode. You were kind of on the premiere episode, I think, of this back in the day.
Yep.
And then we did another episode where we're going to promote the workshop series, which is going on right now, by the way. So go to persuadingforprofits.com/workshop to get onto that. It's for helping radio stations get more advertisers back on the airwaves. But that show got canned, so we never really went live with
That's
that
how
one.
good I was. It didn't even get used. Yeah. So that was lame.
I was like Phil Donahue on that. I was doing all the talking and not letting the guests talk at all. So it was very it turned out to be really weird. But anyway, you are the first repeat guest on the Persuading for Profits program, and welcome back to the show, sir.
I'm honored. I'm honored to be the repeat guest. And I can sometimes I'm a weird person. Sometimes I talk way too much. Sometimes I'm a man of few words. It all depends on the day you catch me on.
Well, we'll see where we are today. It's a Tuesday.
According to my wife, I am quite often not. I don't respond to questions. She'll say, "She asks me stuff all the time," and I'm just like, she goes, "You think you respond, but you don't." Yeah, whatever. I'm a mumbler, which is not a good
Yeah,
trait for a radio person.
probably not. I remember you said that she's also accused you of being guilty of announcer voice as well.
Yep. Yeah, I'll fall into it. No, that's what she thinks. All the content I do for YouTube or any video stuff, she thinks I sound too much like a radio guy. Which it's kind of when you've been doing it since you were 5, it's kind of hard to get out of that mode.
Right, exactly. No, and so I think it sounded good. Radio people are supposed to sound like radio people. I think it's kind of disappointing when they don't. Um, but yeah, I mean, back in the day we had Wolfman Jack, right? I mean, everybody was imitating Wolfman Jack, and the radio people like that.
Which some is, I know we're going to talk about AI. Somebody's going to bring him back on AI. They've got to be talking to the family, and maybe I missed this and it's already happening, but we've got to have Wolfman Jack via AI brought back, right? That'd be great to hear him talking about new music and in
Oh,
that
that'd be awesome.
in that
Yes,
awesome delivery.
that'd be so great. Okay, so AI, and Andy is on today. So again, this is all about salespeople, sales and marketing. But Andy is on today because he has kind of become, of all the people I know, kind of an AI expert, especially practical AI, I would say, in the sales and marketing area. And I just wanted to have Andy on to talk about, what he sees happening in the field and how sales and marketing people can leverage AI to enhance their careers and make life easier and close more deals. So, Andy, just kind of throwing it out there, the broad topic. How do you see AI? How do you see salespeople being able to leverage AI to really not just give themselves another tool, but to really leverage it and to improve their prospecting, their closing ratio, and their marketing and everything involved with that?
Well, I mean, like I encourage everybody, um, AI can help you with every single aspect of your job now, and it's just getting increasingly better every single day. So obviously, if you're not using it, you're falling behind other salespeople within the building and your competitors that are embracing it and using it because it can help you write scripts, it can help you research before you go talk to a client, it can help you with your proposals. I mean, you can even, I mean, one of the best ways to sell somebody is a spec spot. I mean, imagine that Google's VO3 that I know you've played around it with it. If you came up with a quick little idea for a commercial for somebody, and you're going in to talk to a car dealer, and you're like, yeah, you do. Here's Bigfoot test driving the new F-150 at Park Place Ford. You roll in with that little it's a short little clip, but that's going to blow them away and maybe get their creative juices flowing, and they think about ways they can kind of use that in a campaign. Or I mean, there's just a lot of fun things you can do with it, and you just have to get in there and start playing around, and the ideas will start flowing out of you.
And that's the thing. AI, I think, is really interesting because everybody thinks it's going to replace humans, and maybe someday it will, but in some form or fashion. But it's only to degrees, and I think right now all it can really be is an enhancer of humans. Mike Cernovich is a guy on Twitter, and a couple of years ago he talked about AI with writing, and he said now writers are going to turn, with the advent of AI, now writers are going to turn into editors, right? So you don't have to actually generate all the content yourself. You just have to you generate a ton of content, edit it down the way you want it, and then send it to publication. And kind of the precursor to that, though, is that you still have to know how to write. You know what I'm saying? You still have to know how to sell. You still have to know how to do all these things before AI can really be of benefit to you. Yes or no?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. It basically right now, I say there's three phases of it. We're still in phase one, even though AI really, it became a term in like 1960. They've been working on it for a long time, but we're still in the early phases of it. And right now, it essentially 10x's you or 20x's you, depending on the tool you're using, and enhances the things that you're already good at. And if, like, let's say you're dyslexic or something like that, it can supplement an area where you're really weak entirely, and help kind of bridge that gap for you. But the whole it's going to replace you and take your job. No, the first thing in this phase, what will replace you is somebody who's using AI when you're not. That's who's going to replace you. But we're a long way from AI just flat out doing everything. That's down the road. The next phase is going to be right. You can still work. You can still have a job and not use AI right now. But there will come a point where it's going to be almost impossible to work in any capacity if you're not willing to use AI tools, because it's just going to put you so much further behind everybody else.
So yeah, and specifically in the sales and marketing world, I think that AI is really incredible for example, task management. I know salespeople. I mean, salespeople are by and large free spirits, right? And not all of them. Maybe some tech salespeople aren't, but most of them are. And they like kind of doing things their own way. They like, I mean, if you're a straight commission salesperson, you're not necessarily just living inside of a box. You're kind of your own entrepreneur, and you're really relying on yourself and your skills to make a living. So I think the things that salespeople hate to do, especially, are the paperwork things, right? Maybe everybody hates it, but I think salespeople hate it more than everybody. And especially with regards to a CRM, there's I just found something today called Win. This is not an endorsement, but if you're good, you want to send me money, Win, that's fine. It's WINN.ai, which really is so immersed in the salesperson's conversation. It can listen to conversations. It can provide you with a checkbox of, hey, here's the sales model that we're using. Did you do this? Have you gotten the customer's pain point? How did the customer hear about us? What are the next steps? All these things are there, and you can just be having a conversation with the prospect on the phone, and it will listen for these things, check off those boxes, and schedule the appropriate follow-up. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's the key. Is it just it can make you so much better at everything. Figuring out your calendar, writing scripts for you, proposals, researching everything. I mean, and like you were talking about, just recording this podcast. The reason the second it's done, you can hit a button and come up with 5 to 10, sometimes 15 short videos from it, is because it's using AI to do a transcript from that, which salespeople could do the same thing on a call. Like if you did a sales call, how great would it be to do a sales call just on Riverside? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, right.
you would get the second you're done with it, you'd have a video you can go back and reference. It would transcribe it for you. You could pull content from it. I mean, it's there's a lot of these little tools that you can use from the sales stamp, even on the sales side, not just for creating content and programming stuff.
Yeah, and just I mean to me that makes everything better in the sales world because again, salespeople do kind of tend to be free spirits, but when you're running a sales organization, you still need to have order there, right? You still need to have a process that you're following, and hopefully it's a proven process. The hardest part when you're a sales manager is when somebody starts struggling. If somebody's struggling and they're working your system and they're working your process, you can help them. Okay, here's where it's breaking down. If somebody's struggling and they're doing their own thing, then you don't know how to help them. And so what I see is that sales AI tools like the one we just discussed, like Win, for example, is such a great thing that they can keep somebody on track so that if they do start breaking down, they can, it's easier to correct them, but it's easier to train new people. It's easier to onboard new people. It just makes everything so much better, I think, from when you're running an organization. And it's there also to support the salespeople as well. The other thing I like about it is that I've seen guys, Richard Harris, who we had on here from the Harris Consulting Group, he has actually made an AI bot of himself on his website. So, he's a award-winning, recognized sales trainer. So you can go there to his bot and ask him questions, and he'll answer the question for you if you get stuck in a selling situation. How cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are doing really creative things with it. I mean, Tracy Johnson's Radio Content Pro, this is not as sales-oriented, but Tracy is my consulting mentor. He taught me how to be a consultant, essentially, and he created Radio Content Pro by training it by using training an AI using all of his radio materials to create radio content for on-air talent. And he's also now kind of next phase using it for just like you discussed the other guy, where it can answer questions for you about radio promotions and all kind of other things. So people are really coming up with creative ways to help radio with AI.
Dude, I totally just missed that.
That's okay. It wasn't that good.
I know you knocked me off the air. It must have been powerful. But so I know we probably recorded that anyway, but just for kicks. So Tracy Johnson, he used all of his radio material to train AI to program the responses, right? Or program content. What exactly was the deal there?
Yeah, so one of the AI tools I recommend to radio stations is Radio Content Pro. It's basically show prep using the power of AI. So Tracy, because he's been in radio since he was a kid too, and he's been a consultant for 20 years, he spent about a year behind the scenes because he showed me it, 6 months in, 9 months in, and he spent about a year getting it right before they came to market with it. So he trained this AI on radio and how to create conversational radio content. So it basically looks at all kinds of stories and turns it into radio speak, gives you the tease, the content, the phone topics, the out, the funny line at the end. It gives you social copy specific to platform. It's insane, and it writes your blog post for you. So it's
wow.
Nuts how good this thing is. And I have an affiliate link that people can go through from my consulting website because I'm a huge believer. I recommend it to everybody I work with. But it's kind of like the example you were talking about on the sales side. People are coming up with really creative ways to train AI to help radio people, and that's why not getting on board with AI tools is such a huge mistake for people.
Yeah, and I've also heard that AI will listen along, especially if you're in for some of the chat organizations or maybe even just on call center type stuff, chat organizations. What the heck do I mean by that? Like, if you're chatting, doing customer chat organizations, if you're doing customer service chat, or online or call center stuff, that AI will be running alongside you there and recommend things to say to guide the conversation in the next direction. Which honestly is half of the battle in the sales, is getting a good system and thinking on your feet and knowing what to say next and knowing how to guide the conversation. But to your point about Tracy Johnson, that's incredible. And again, it kind of emphasizes the point of he already knew how to do radio before he started using the AI. AI will never, I don't think, replace. It can kind of do it, I guess, but there's a certain human creativity that I don't think AI will ever be able to quite get in touch with. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like I said before, I mean, I think there's three phases. We're in phase one, and I believe that's going to last for a couple years. I think the next phase is where the only people working will be people utilizing AI. Phase three is where the scary part, where where I think we're going to see a lot of AI replace a lot of positions, but the people it's least likely to replace are the people that are creating the intellectual property themselves, that can come up, that can write something themselves, that can create. Just like the example I used this week on my podcast was our friend John Reynolds, who's a great video producer. Like, I use a lot of the same video editors he uses. I use a lot of the same tools. But when somebody like John uses a AI editing tool, video editing tool, the results are vastly different than when somebody else uses it, because John's got his 20 plus years of video production and his eye for things. Just like when my wife, a graphic designer, uses AI tools like built into Canva or Creatopi, the results are way different than if I just go in there and use it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. The other thing too is that I think when AI comes out and it's so accessible to so many people, that everybody just assumes, okay, well, everybody's going to be doing this. Everybody's going to be using AI, or everybody's going to be, recording their conversations and breaking it down. There are a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs in there to leverage the AI that people just don't want to jack with. You know what I'm saying? That's like, yeah, anybody can do this and churn out all these reels and schedule them, but do they really? I mean, I think there's a whole new industry that's opened up in that realm.
Well, I see it all the time with radio stations, because my big thing is I don't want to create all of a radio station's content for them and our consulting company. We don't want to do that because we have to charge you a lot more. It takes up a lot more of our time. I'd rather just show you how to do it yourself and show your staff how to do it, because that's also a lot more valuable, the whole teach a man to fish thing. But there are a lot of clients that we work with where you'll show them all that stuff, and they're like, I don't want to mess with it. And you're like, well, it's really easy. Yeah. Here's the tools. I mean, some of these tools we're talking about are $30 a month or $40. I mean, none of it's expensive stuff, but it's just taking the time to learn it and master it. That's what the big trick is. Somebody that's just not wanting to dip their toe in it is a lot of these things have free trials. So don't go sign up for 10 or 15 different things and spend $15, $20, $50 a service on all of them. Just go through the free trial, find the one you like, and then sign up for it after you've learned, okay, I kind of like the interface, because all the interfaces are different. You're going to have some that bother the crap out of you, some that you take to really quickly. So start with the free trial, play around with it, then sign up for that service before you commit and sign commit to the monthly recurring charge.
Yeah, and I you said something interesting there about as you've learned AI. I mean, I think I'm fairly proficient at AI. It's great because it's very conversational, but you can also kind of get AI I've also wasted a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, by the time I did all this in AI, I could have just done it myself and it would have been about this good. So I feel there's that kind of trap too. And I'm really talking about mainly writing stuff. As far as what you have learned, what are tips and tricks you can give people about really writing prompts and really trying to master of the, I don't know, is it the medium, master of the technology.
Yeah, I mean, well, one is what you just kind of hit on, and I know I have felt the same way. Like, man, I wasted a lot of time on this tool, but you got to look at it like it's not wasted time because you're learning a new skill, you're learning how to interface with this thing. You just have to spend time with these things and look at anything you're doing. Just like if you want to learn how to be on the air, you got to listen to other people who are on the air that are good at it and kind of learn from them and watch. Same thing on this stuff. If you're trying to, like when I started trying to create more video content with it, I looked at other creators who were creating really interesting AI video content using AI, and I watched what they did. I looked at some of their tips and tricks. Like, I think I sent you a Bigfoot prompt yesterday. That came from another creator that I liked the stuff he did, and he shared. He's like, here's the prompt I used. And so I've used a version of that prompt to create all kinds of stuff, like that little alien I talked to last week on the episode of my show. That
you had the redneck in the swamp who actually hated you, as I recall.
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't a real thing. That was that was AI, but some of them they
was highly accurate though.
Yeah, highly accurate. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's so many folks are willing to share because the internet is everybody steals from everybody on the internet. It's just kind of understood,
right?
And so they all are just kind of upfront with, it's pretty easy to find. I wish I could think of the prompts that other people are using that are working. There's a creator that I watch on YouTube. I follow his stuff that is really at the cutting edge on the video side, and he's just full of he'll show you, here's the prompt I use. So I've been trying to do that. Like when I have something that works, it's like, here's the prompt I'm using in this, and here's why it worked. But yeah, mainly it's just getting in there and playing around with the stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too because I typically use it for writing. For example, I came up with the we're doing the second installment of the workshop here, of the summer workshop series, July 10th, Thursday, July 10th. If you're not doing anything, it's going to be great. We're going to help you turn your Advertise with Us page into a full-blown internet digital sales page that captures leads, that does selling for you, and really can kind of get away from just the whole contact us page type format to something that really works and sells. And so I used, I think, Claude. I used a couple. I started off using, what did I use? I have a subscription to you.com. I love it because you get Claude, you get ChatGPT, you get a few other AI things. You just toggle the button and use whichever one you want. It's like $20 a month. It's crazy. Yeah. And dropped it in Claude. This is what I want to do. And I said, if you have any questions, ask me. And asked me this list of questions, printed it out. And it needed a few tweaks, but it was really, really good. And I was like, man, that was a huge time saver. Just cut and paste it, made the tweaks, and put it in where I wanted to. I do that with emails a lot too. And I think also the thing that's interesting is I've used Claude and Grok and ChatGPT. And they're all kind of different personalities. You know what I'm saying? In a way, they're all kind of different in their own way. For example, in copywriting and doing sales copywriting or sales copy or whatever, I know who the great copywriters are. I've read them, I've studied them. Gary Halbert and John Carlton and Dan Kennedy and Clayton Makepeace, Ben Settle, who's still around today, writing stuff. Gary Benchavinga. And so you can say, hey, you can have each one of them write you an email, write you a sales page in each one of their kind of personalities. And it's kind of different because it's kind of like, when we were growing up, there were a lot more impressionists, it seemed like, on TV, right? Rich Little and people like that. And so it's kind of like, and they would do impressions of John Wayne or Stallone or whoever. And it's kind of like watching three different impressionists do an impression of somebody when they try to mimic their writing style. And you can kind of see the common thread. I kind of see how they're all a little bit different too.
Sure.
And then what you can do is say, hey, blend this style with this style. I like that, but blend this style with this style and let me see what I get. And it's fascinating to use it in that way. It's fascinating to kind of open your own mind up to ideas. Are they often as good as humans? No. But for like boilerplate stuff that you got to do a lot of and churn out, it's really pretty fascinating. And I think it's kind of it's worth it to kind of learn their personalities and to figure out which ones you're going to use for which tasks.
One, it's crazy how little things like that will just save you that much. I mean, I'm always looking for ways to maximize my time because, I have a pretty full day too. But there are things like email templates. A couple years ago, I read a Free to Focus book by Michael. I think Michael Hyatt is the guy's name. But one of the things he said in there early on was just emails that you write all the time. You should save an email template for that. And I've done that, and just that little trick saves me enormous amounts of time because I found myself like I've written this email to 50 different people, in the past couple weeks. Why am I rewriting this every single time?
Yeah.
Just little hacks like that can end up saving you. And so the with AI, it's just gone, through the roof. That's why it's hard to say exactly how people should use it because literally every single thing you do can be enhanced by AI, and the people out there that are like, I'm absolutely not using it, they don't realize they're already using it anyway. I mean, if you go to Google and you do a search, it's there. If you comment on Facebook, and you read the comment, I mean, it's summarizing the comments for you. Everything is already, it's built into everything already. So whether you like it or not, you're using it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, what are the tools that your go-to AI tools that you use the most, and what do you use them for?
So obviously, I use the stuff built into Riverside all the time because I do a lot of content in there. I use QUSO.ai for a couple different reasons. Riverside pulls clips for you from social, so it takes a long form video and turns it into short form. But I don't. I want more than just 5 or 10 that Riverside gives you. I want 50. So I go to QUSO.ai to put them in there, and then I go to Captions.ai because that also uses AI to pull the short form clips. So between all those, you can take one 30 to 60 minute podcast and turn it into 50 or 100 shorts really freaking quickly. And then I use a lot of the Google stuff now. So I've got the Google's AI Pro, which is only $20. It's free for the first month and $20 after that. I don't recommend people sign up for the Ultra yet to get the really big credits for VO3 because that's like $250 a month or some crazy number that doesn't make sense for radio people. So I use the Google AI Pro I use that for VO3, the AI video generator that is so realistic. You've all seen the Bigfoot clips on social media, and the other funny one I keep saying is people doing influencer challenges that are just really stupid. Like, I'm jumping out of this plane with no parachute. Let's see what happens. And it's a AI generated guy, obviously, doing it. So Google's VO3 is another one that I'm using a ton. But in that same subscription, you get Notebook LM, which is this. I first heard Mark Cuban talking about it. It's this AI research tool that is nuts what you can do in it. Like, one of the things that I did just playing around, I dropped one of my ebooks in there, from broadcast to podcast, applying radio rules to podcasting, like a 30-page ebook, not long, but I threw it in a Notebook LM, and it has a feature where it'll create a 2-person podcast about whatever you put into it. So it turned my 30-page ebook into a 12-minute podcast episode with 2 AI-generated people talking about my podcast. And I shared a clip of it on one of my podcast episodes. It is unbelievably good. It's scary how good this little thing it generated in like 60 seconds. So that's one of the cool little party tricks you can do in there. But there's all kinds of, from the sales standpoint, there's all kinds of research it could help you do using the power of AI. Using Envato Elements has some built-in AI, and I use that for AI image generation for like blog posts. But the best one, my favorite one for like when you're writing an article for a website and you need a header image, And Jim Sherwood turned me onto this one, is Leonardo.ai. I don't know if you've used that one.
I've dabbled. Tell me how's the best way to use that?
So again, it's all about the prompts, and he shared a couple tips and tricks for helping that. I mean, the more specific you can get in the prompts, and the other cool thing is a lot of those AI image generators have now, you can use AI to enhance your prompt. So I'll write a look like a real general statement, like, female broadcaster in a modern radio studio talking into a professional microphone, and that'll be my whole prompt. And I'll put it in there, and it'll create some kind of generic looking thing. But if I hit the enhance AI, it'll write like a whole paragraph and a half around that prompt to make it even better. And then
within Leonardo.
Within Leonardo, Envato's Elements has theirs one built in. Envato's kind of cool because if you want to play around with VO3, it's included in that subscription. You just can't. The trick I've found in that, like when I'm trying to do something station specific, like, hey, I'm listening to Magic 95.5. My name's Andy and I love Magic 95.5. It's got the best blah, 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 blah music. I can't do anything like that in the Envato Elements version of VO3. You got to go directly to Google to do specific stuff because they know you're doing like an endorsement.
Gotcha.
But Google's VO3 will directly let you do that, which is really cool for sales because you could do realistic looking client testimonials and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. And just for a salesperson, for just the enhancer, just you can whatever your sales style is, if it's Sandler method or gap selling or whatever, just Bant and Medic and all these things now. You can have AI act as that, and like, hey, these are the, and it's sometimes it's varying degrees of success. I think it's going to depend on how well you develop your prompt over time, but you can actually role play it with it. You can actually role play and say, hey, what's your response to this? Somebody has this. Here's the deals. What should I come up with? How would Chris Voss handle this? How would Jim Camp handle this? How would all these great salespeople? What would their take on this be? And it's really just, is it the final word? No, but does it kind of dial in for you, give you at least get your own creativity flowing? Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think you touched on something really big there. I think the ability to rehearse with it, to just kind of run through some things and, give me all the objections somebody would give to, like, here's my proposal. Give me 10 objections to this proposal. And so you can kind of, because you're going to get some objections when you start going in and pitching this stuff. So to kind of, the reason a salesperson who's been doing it for 5 or 10 years is so much stronger at replying to those objections than somebody that just started is because they've all heard them before.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting out, that's why I always tell people you got to get past the first 1,000 no's before you really get good at sales. So if you can use AI to kind of practice in that and know walking in, what are all the possible objections I could get to this specific proposal, I think that's a really helpful tool.
It's incredibly helpful. I think it is. I think and just for being more prolific, for generating ideas and for generating marketing materials and for personalizing everything, I think Joe Pasacchio was on here. He referenced the Tom Hopkins book from the 80s. And I remember Hopkins at the time talked about a guy who was trying to sell him a piece of land or something. And this guy came in with this real elaborate portfolio. It said Tom Hopkins. He never met the guy before, but the guy did all this research and said, here's why you would like this and this and this and this. And it just blew him away that somebody would pay that much attention to him, that he would do that much research, that he actually took the time to understand and know what he truly wanted. And man, that probably took the dude a week to put together, longer, just by himself and with his secretary and everybody. Maybe even longer than that, You can do that in half an hour today, tops. I mean, including printing it out and everything. It's incredible what you can do. Well, this has been very helpful.
Like you said earlier, I mean, that's the big thing I keep hearing AI when I listen to AI experts who I respect, they all bring up the point which you kind of hit on earlier, is it frees you up to do the things you enjoy, the creative part, whatever part of selling, because there's one or two parts of selling that you hate, depending on your personality type. There's some parts of every job that you hate, you know. And so use AI to help with those parts of the job so you can focus on the parts of sales that you really enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely, and free to focus. I mean, what a great! How much differently would that book have been written today? Maybe he'll come out with another edition of it, right? With all the tools that you have, you really are free to focus. If you can keep from getting so distracted, that's the great irony. There are more and more things to distract you. It's so easy to go down all these different little rabbit holes and chase all these things. But and again, it goes back to the thing we said at the very beginning. You have to have the skill set. It's not AI is not going to help you focus. You have to know how to focus, and AI is going to help you with monitoring the distractions or monitoring the rote tasks. You have to know how to write, and then you can become an editor. You have to know pretty much how to sell, and then AI will help you handle the paperwork, handle the follow-up, handle all these things. Whatever you know, you're not absolved from learning the skill. I mean, because if you think that AI is going to do it for you and you don't have to learn the skill, what does anybody need you for? I mean, that's the most dangerous thing to think in the world, is still become proficient at sales, still become proficient at marketing and everything that you can do. And there's still the people that it's at the end of the day, it's human to human. It's what Dan Kennedy called belly to belly selling, and there's emotion that AI cannot comprehend or understand or really convey. It can try to, but it's only a human can deliver that. So I guess from my perspective, it's use AI for all these wonderful things you can, but still just get the skills and be as good as you can yourself.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with that. And it's still, I do think there will be a point, and we're already probably starting to see some of the pushback on AI pushback, where people are wanting that human connection even more, because they're like, man, I can't trust anything on social media anymore. I can't trust anything I see on the TV, whether it's real or whether it's fake. So to me, like you kind of touched on there, the smartest way to use AI is to free your time up so you can be in front of that client more and get more of that human to human interaction, and just use AI to get all the stuff done behind the scenes.
Yeah, I agree completely. Thank you, man, for sharing your wisdom. We will have you back on to talk about this again. And the bizarre thing is, when we have you back on in a month, 2 months, 3 months, I mean, this will seem so old by that time. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the crazy part about AI, is how fast it's advancing and how fast things are moving. But thank you for sharing your knowledge, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in. This has been another episode of Persuading for Profits, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.